Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second session, Hardware Asset Management Unit 2. So in this session, we're going to look at these topics, that is the purpose and concepts of hardware asset management, and then the life cycle of HAM, and then mobile device management, the benefits of HAM, the best practices of HAM, the tool reflections of HAM. So if you recollect, there are 4 different areas of IT asset management, right? HAM, SAM, CM, and then PM or SCAM and PM. So let's look at hardware asset management. Hardware asset management, it's the management of hardware assets from acquisition through retirement. Objective is getting the most value from the hardware assets. Enables the organization in making business decisions based on meaningful and measurable financial objectives. So as we discussed before, the management of hardware assets, right from the stage of procurement to the retirement and disposal. I have given you examples in the first module, right? So it is the same example that I want you to recollect again. You want to purchase a desktop or a laptop or a server. So it starts with defining a strategy. And then after building a strategy, you select, okay, this is the kind of laptop or desktop or a server I want to purchase. And then you select a vendor, right? And from after selecting a vendor, you purchase. After purchasing, then you stock it, your inventory, and then you take it to operations. And then after operations, then you use it for some time, right? Let's say 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And then you will have to retire it and then dispose. All this is covered in hardware asset management. Objective is getting the most value. So what do you mean by getting most value from hardware assets? It means you have selected a vendor, let's say a vendor like HP. Okay, you use the laptop and in 6 months or let's say half a year, you see that your so-called laptop or desktop is not working well. And it's not just with one laptop. Let's say it's happening with many laptops. You're not happy with the value. You're not happy with the service that the laptop has provided to you. Then what do? You still want to continue with the same laptop, HP? No. You want to move to some other brand like some Dell, right? Or some Lenovo or some, what else? Something like Mac, right? Apple computers. You want to go for some other brands. So hardware asset management gives a meticulous watch on the stuff, like which brand, which model is working well and which is not working well. Okay, and accordingly we'll be able to select the right products next time, right IT assets next time. So HAM, so that is what it says. The objective is getting the most value from the hardware assets. And also, that is one point of view, that is one side of view. The other one is you buy an IT asset and then you're not using it. It's just lying in the inventory. So are you using the asset effectively? No. Another scenario, you buy the asset and then it has been deployed, or let's say at a cubicle. And then in that area, in that cubicle, because of some weird reasons, there is no people sitting there. Okay, nobody is using that laptop. So do you think it is optimal utilization of the IT asset? No, right? Or let's say there is an employee who works most of the time from home, but still we have, let's say, a monitor or a desktop at that cubicle. So do you think it's good to have that desktop or that monitor at that cubicle? Because nobody is using it, right? So you understand what is getting the most value from the hardware assets? So ensuring that the IT assets are used optimally, effectively, efficiently, that is also done by hardware asset management. Enables the organization in making business decisions. So what kind of business decisions? So regular audit. Okay, let me not go to that initially. So in hardware asset management, we track what all assets we have, what is the make, model, and so on, the different attributes. We track all these attributes. We review regularly, at least once in a quarter or once in half a year. And then we store all this information in some database to see what all assets we have, and then where are they located? Are people really using it? Do we have any issues with those IT assets? And then accordingly, we'll be able to, take informed business decisions. Like, let's say there is an asset, as I just told you, that sorry, that brand or that make or model is not up to the mark. So we will try that for, let's say, 2 years or 3 years. And then after that, you will have to switch. You will definitely switch to another vendor, because that vendor, that brand, that make and model is not really giving you good services. Okay. So that is the 3 points that I wanted to cover on the slide. We'll move to the next one. Benefits of HAM. Sorry, I had some problem with my throat. Okay, I'm back. So next is benefits of hardware asset management. Benefits are, it enables knowledge-based decisions, business decisions with respect to procurement, replacement, disposal, and reuse of an asset. You understood, right? I was just giving you an example. From where do we procure the assets? How do we replace if there is any kind of problems with those or issues with those IT assets? And how do we dispose the IT assets, hardware assets or IT assets, and reuse? Next is IT operation, agility, short response time, support the business, reuse of hardware, use of standard hardware services. So we will be able to support the business. We'll be able to reuse the hardware when we have, hardware asset management. And then we'll be able to use the hardware assets with standard services. And the next one is contract and procurement management. Request standard services, easier negotiation, standard hardware services. So request standard services, what does it mean? It's just like, our service catalog that is there in ITAM. So you will be able to request the hardware assets in a very streamlined fashion. Okay, and then easier negotiation, standard hardware services. When you have hardware asset management defined, you will be able to negotiate with your vendors, in a very disciplined format and get the hardware assets at a very economical price with good quality. And then financial management, you will also have cost savings, that is reduction of over disposal and over procurement. So when you have hardware asset management, you will not over dispose the IT assets, hardware assets, or over procure it, because everything is going through a standard process. Let's imagine there is an organization which requires 100 laptops because there are new joinees next month. But the organization has ordered some 200 laptops. Excess, we are spending or we are investing too much of money on those laptops. And then first you spend too much of money, and then there is no place to stock your IT laptops. It takes too much space, inventory space. And then for that, again, you'll have to rent a place and then again pay rent for those 100 other laptops that you have procured. So it's waste of money, right? So cost savings. So when you have hardware asset management, you'll be able to order, request, or procure the IT assets that is as per your necessity. And reduction of over disposal. So another example, it's like you purchase too many IT assets which has not been used because of various reasons, because of any reason you were not able to utilize those assets. But after the EOL, end of lifetime, you will have to dispose the IT asset. So it is over disposal. Okay. Compliance foundation data. So when you purchase any IT asset, there is something called terms and conditions, right? So you need to follow that. So when you have this hardware asset management, you will be able to adhere to those terms and conditions and use your IT hardware assets as per the terms and conditions defined. The last one is business, minimize risk of information security, software compliance, and data loss. So you will be, if we have hardware asset management, we'll be able to minimize the risks with respect to information security. As I told you in the last module, I have seen, in my consulting experiences, where organizations used to really lose lots of money. They also used to lose their hardware assets. I mean, when a person is moving out of the organization, he may also take away his laptop or his mobile devices like his BlackBerry or his phone, which is given by the organization, because the organization is not tracking who has what asset, how many assets we have. So employees can just take away those assets too when they are moving away from the organization, and that's a great financial loss. Not only financial loss, it is also a great risk with respect to information security and also data loss, right? So when we have hardware asset management, all these things will be streamlined.